Just one moment. It's too much. Welcome to Seen Through Glass. Welcome to quiet mode in my Ferrari 360. If you missed my last video with this car, I have finally had a Challenge Rodale exhaust fitted to my 360. However, I think it might be one of the loudest Challenge Rodale exhausts ever made. This thing is now so obnoxiously loud, I'm almost embarrassed to drive it around the streets of London. So right now we're going at very sensible speeds with the valves closed, but with the flick of a switch, just that switch down there, this thing would turn into an absolute monster. We might flick the switch at some point, but only if I basically can't see any police around. Anyway, this is not another video about this car. Instead, I want to sort of do a more general garage update, because I feel like over the last couple of months, whilst the UK has been in lockdown, my cars have been a little bit MIA from my social media, and that's because where I live in central London, I basically can't keep my cars at my house. Instead, I have to keep them in kind of storage facilities because I don't have a driveway, I don't have an underground garage underneath my flat, so my only option would be to street park. And if you tell an insurer that you want to street park a Ferrari and a Porsche in London, they basically tell you to jog on. So yes, I literally haven't seen these things for a couple of months. And I say these things because right now, I'm actually on my way to go and pick up the 911. Because, long story, trying to make it short, way before lockdown, I think 2 or 3 weeks before lockdown was kind of announced, I actually dropped this car off at AV Engineering to have the exhaust fitted and the ECU upgraded. Now, obviously, once lockdown kind of kicked in, I was like, right, well, I'm not going to see that car for a while. So I decided to drop the 911 off with Windrush to kind of park it in the 360's usual space. They very kindly agreed to let me do that. And the reason I kind of wanted to do that is I thought if I'm not going to be able to drive the car or even go and see it for God knows how long, there's nowhere kind of safer or securer or who are going to look after it better than Windrush. But now I got the 360 back, it's time to swap them over and take the Porsche back to a kind of more local car park that I use nearer to my house. It's not, you don't get the same level of service as you do at Windrush, but it's still safe and just somewhere to keep the car where I can go and get it relatively easily. So yes, that's what I'm going to do, and when I'm in the 911, I'm then going to update you on the other 2 cars that featured in the garage update I did way back at the beginning of the year, because they've been changing too. This is quite strange for me. Firstly, seeing my 2 cars together again for the first time in what feels like forever, but also coming down here to Windrush and not seeing the Windrush team, because that's kind of like one of my favourite parts, is coming here and just nerding out about cars, because every time I come to pick up or drop off the 360, I spy something else that the guys are storing just in the sort of main facility over there behind the wall, and we just chat, I just go, oh my god, that's so amazing, and then they tell me something that I didn't know about it, and it's just, yeah, half the fun is chatting to them. But this is the new sort of contactless handover drop-off bay. It is the usual drop zone, which I've used plenty of times before, but even still, as I say, sometimes I would at least be able to see the guys and chat with them, but instead, no, it's just me, and funnily enough, they are just that side of the wall and watching my every move on CCTV, so if I dance funnily like this, they're probably laughing to themselves. But yeah, it's great, because it means that I can come and pick up my car or drop it off knowing that it's kind of COVID safe and friendly. The 911 Carrera T has been prepared in a completely, safe manner, all the sort of precautions that they have to take with that. I can literally just jump into it, drive it off, and the 360 will be taken next door, and then prepared to sort of, have some sleep until I want to use it next. I kind of wanted to see their reaction to the exhaust, because of course these guys spend almost as much time around my car as I do, and I know that some of them really, really love it, and I kind of, really wanted to show off the CS exhaust, but that will have to wait for another time, or maybe wait for a WhatsApp message from them being like, oh my god, we turned it on and it's ridiculous, because it is. But anyway, enough kind of freaking out. I'm going to take a few shots of the cars together, because in my opinion, they look awesome. And then let's jump into the Carrera T, head out of here, and I'll update you on what's going on with that car and the other two that I keep talking about. New F-Type. That's the new face. Oh, and a DBS. You wouldn't have been able to see that, and you're not going to be able to see this, but whips are out. Whips are out and about. Oh, and not out and about, they're parked up, aren't they? You know what's kind of crazy is I feel like this is potentially only like the second time that I've driven this car since it had all the work done to it at Lichfield, which is mad because I remember that kind of like first drive with all the new power and the new exhaust and being like, oh my God, I can't wait to take this to Switzerland and drive some mountain roads. That didn't happen, did it? Absolute fail. Instead, it's just been sitting there looking pretty at Windrush. But anyway, it's back now, and it's good to be back because this car, it's like a familiar old friend. You know what? I get back in it and I'm like, nice to see you, old pal. How are you doing? But the fun thing is that actually the performance is very unfamiliar. If I was on a twisty road right now, I think I would be surprised because I've only really driven it once in anger with all the updates from Lichfield, and I don't really remember what it was like. And I've got fresh rubber on. Just before lockdown, I got some new tyres put on it. So theoretically, it'd be even better to drive. And it's hot and just the whole thing would have been amazing. But that will have to wait, I guess, for, well, just a little bit longer. For now, I just got to be happy that I am back with it. It's going nowhere, this car. I think, you know, I had my sort of momentary blip at the beginning of the year when I thought I wanted to sell it, but what a mistake that would have been. I definitely feel like I've got a stronger emotional connection with this thing now, especially since doing the Drive the World movies during lockdown, you know, reminiscing so much about all the amazing stuff we did last year. My sort of bond with this car grew stronger even though I hadn't been driving it. So like seeing it today, I'm like, oh yes, yes, my lovely. It's just so good. It's just so good. I mean, Porsches are just so good, aren't they? Whilst it might not be as thrilling and as exhilarating even with the added power as the 360, it's a different thing and it's just still great. I would, however, say that maybe it's because of the new CS exhaust on the 360, the Akrapovic one on this is a little bit disappointing. I kind of thought I remembered it being louder. It's a bit subdued, and whilst I never wanted to kind of make this car ridiculous in the way that it performed or drove or sounded, I do feel like maybe I could just go up one more level. So watch this space. Potentially in the weeks or months ahead, I might look into that. However, Lichfield do recommend Akrapovic because it's so good at sort of releasing that performance and power. So yeah, we'll have to do some investigating. But apart from that, this car is sticking around. Oh, it's always a bit worrying, isn't it, when you get a bit of a sore throat or a frog in the throat, they call it, don't they? It's always a bit like, is that coronavirus? How do we know? But yes. Oh, and a new Vantage. A Continental. I really should have brought my other cameras with me because there'll be some decent spotting to do right now, but I came with a very minimal setup. You know, I'm trying to learn how to film in this new world, how to do it in a safe and secure way. But lesson one, Sam, is just bring all your camera gear because you never know what's going to happen. But anyway, let's move on. Citroen C4 WRC Rally Replica. You know that crazy thing that I took to Sweden on the Team Galax Snow Tour at the start of the year? Well, it has now sold. I did do a video talking about the fact I wanted to sell it to put some money into a new rally project car, or project rally car. Well, the car is sold, and Tony from Gravelwood was amazing at helping me do a sort of contactless, COVID-safe handover process to the new owner, who I know is going to have a ton of fun with that car. But like so many, I have been impacted quite heavily by sort of income during this whole lockdown, and I'm not really sure when my sort of income's going to recover. I mean, there's so many question marks still about the world, aren't there? So I think I need to scale back my initial ideas for the rally project car, the project rally car. I still want to do something because at the beginning of the year I said 2020 is all about going big or going home. And for the first 6 months of the year, I've had to go home. So now I want to go big. By the way, I just need to do some more spotting. There's another Continental GT and a very nice 458. Oh, and I've gone down a closed road. Oh, I'm really out of practice at this whole YouTubing thing. My God, it's not as easy as picking up your cameras and going again. Just need to warm back up to it. But yes, so I do still want to do some kind of project car, and I do have a couple of videos coming up talking about it and my thoughts and my plans and my expectations, but it's probably not going to be as wild and as full on as I first thought. I have now come down the street with a Senna. This is a really untogether video. I'm so sorry. This is all over the place, but yes. Green McLaren Senna. I have no idea if you're seeing any of this. It's just useless vlogging. On top of that, Clubman JCW, the amazing Mini Clubman JCW, which Mini UK lent me for 6 months. Turned out to be they lent it to me for about 8 months because they couldn't come and collect it during lockdown. But it is now going back to Mini UK. My time with that car is over, and it's been fantastic. I really, really loved it. In fact, I did a sort of an update, a 6-month ownership review, and talked about how I absolutely loved it. And I very nearly went and bought one. You know, that's how much I really enjoyed it. But I suddenly thought, you know what? Maybe I should change it up for the good of the YouTube channel. I very rarely buy cars for views or for the channel, but I thought, you know what, maybe I've got all I can get out of the Clubman in terms of content, and whilst it's kind of the perfect daily for London, maybe I'll change it up. So, excited to announce, I have actually found and put a deposit down on its replacement. Now this is, let me remind you, a daily. I've got the 360, which is now ridiculous. I've got this 911, which now has too much power, and I'm hopefully still going to do the project car in some shape or form. So the daily is a daily. It's practical, it's comfortable, it's still quick, and I think it's going to be a bit of a curveball. I'm not sure many of you are going to be expecting it. I think in a good way, I hope in a good way, and there still will be content opportunities, and I'm actually really excited. The only problem is, I don't know when I'm going to be able to go and get it. That's still a bit unclear, isn't it? Like how and when we can go and collect cars. And even though Tony was able to help facilitate a very COVID-friendly handover of the C4, the people I'm buying the new daily off, nearly revealed it there, haven't quite got that sussed out yet. So let's hold tight and fingers crossed. I'll be getting on my hands on it soon and revealing it to all of you. But I think that kind of sums up the garage. Quite ridiculously, it does mean that moving forward, I'm still going to have 4 cars in my, well, it's not a garage because they're just spread out all over London, aren't they? But I remember at the beginning of the year being like, why do I need 4 cars? No one needs 4 cars. Well, I'm still going to have 4 cars, which, given all the kind of, you know, financial disasters that have been happening and may continue to happen, I'm not sure is the greatest idea, but I've never been that clever, so way. Anyway, give this video a thumbs up if you've enjoyed it. Give it a thumbs up if you're happy to see the cars back on my social media, and make sure to stay subscribed because I promise there are some very exciting videos coming your way soon.